All right, welcome to the show, Malone.
Oh,
We're
thank
going to
you.
talk about some sports here. I think the first thing we need to talk about is our hometown team, the Washington Wizards. And
Oh boy.
what do you think that we can expect from them just moving forward?
Well, I think you're going to get approximately halfway through the season of seeing Wall and Beal back together, which will be exciting and probably the only exciting thing that we've had in a couple of years now.
Oh, yeah.
But I think when we're not in one of those top five, top six playoff seeds, come trade deadline, they're going to realize that that's just not going to work. And I think
But
they'll try to move on from one of them at that time.
what if he's good? What if John Wall comes back and he's nice?
Yeah, but you're also got to think this man hasn't played in almost two full seasons. He's getting up there in age for a point guard that purely relies on athleticism.
Hey, but he's been working on a shot for years. He's had years to not use his legs and get his jump stroke down. Or so
we've
we're looking good.
also heard that every offseason since
Yeah,
he came
but
to the league.
now he had to do it.
Yeah, you'd think, but I just really don't see.
If you think they're going to move off and by the trade deadline,
I don't think they move off the Wall. I don't think they're going to be able to.
I don't know. I saw the Lakers might want him.
Yeah, the Lakers aren't going to get him. His contract is one of the worst in
So big,
sports.
but they just won a title. If there's a way they can make that work, they should make that work.
Yeah, they just won a title, and they probably don't want to spend $40 million on a washed-up point guard, potentially.
But what if he's not washed up? What if he's nice? What if he's John Wall? What if he's like gang sign John Wall?
He's not worth $40 million a year.
Yeah, but he's gonna get paid it anyway. So you think the Wizards just gonna have to? I think we just have to ride this out.
Oh, he's totally gonna ride it out. Like the only option we have is giving up draft picks or players,
which
for
I don't
somebody
think
to
we
take
should
that
do.
contract. Yeah, we should do that, but we also should be the team taking on those shitty contracts.
But what if?
So we can start our rebuild.
All right, so what would our starters be with John Wall coming back next year? Of course, John Wall at point, Bradley Beal at shooting guard. Our three is going to be.
I hope Troy Brown.
Wait, isn't he more of a two?
No, Troy Brown's a three.
Okay, and our four is
Rui.
Okay, and
then
who's at five? Because we haven't released him yet, but Jan Mahimi got benched.
Bertans is going to be gone.
I don't know. I think he stays.
I think he's going to be a very valuable piece for a team that actually.
I think he's going to wait till the trade deadline. He's going to be a trade deadline piece.
No, he's a free agent, and I just feel like he's going to go somewhere where he's a great role player. He's a big man.
Nice on threes. Threes are nice.
He's out of the gym, and he's a very valuable commodity to a team that actually has the players and might be looking to make a run this year. And I don't think you stay with the Wizards.
Okay, so
get a decent check elsewhere.
Do you think we have the pieces to at least be competitive?
Yes, I think when you have two players of Beal and Wall's caliber, you're always going to be competitive. Do I think we make the playoffs if they can keep everybody together the whole year? Maybe. But you're looking at a 9, 8, 7 seed at best.
Let's go into our way too early 2021 NBA predictions, seeing who's going to be the playoffs, since we kind of got into it a little bit.
All right. Well, start off in the West. You obviously have the Lakers and Clippers.
All right, so who do you think is going 1 and 2?
I say it's a safe bet, Lakers Clippers. I mean, you do have the possibility that those teams do kind of coast through the regular season, and somebody could jump up there and take over the seeding. Somebody like the Nuggets, but I think those are the easiest bets for 1 and 2 seed in the West.
All right, so pick your one. Number 1 seed in the West.
I don't see how you don't go with the Lakers. They had a very dominant postseason. They're clearly the best team in the league.
I have to agree. I think it's going to have to be the Lakers. Number 2, I want to say, probably going to shock you, I think the Dallas Mavericks.
I don't hate the pick. I really like the Mavericks. I really like their Really like their starting five. Obviously, Luka is a stud.
I think they're coming off of a pretty good season. Everyone forgets already that they would have beat the Clippers in that first round series if they hadn't got ejected KP. That team was running them.
Well,
and I think that Clippers team, or excuse me, the Mavericks team would have been a rough matchup for LeBron and his Lakers going 7 games.
And if you look at it this way, they just ended the season with so much momentum. They were playing fantastic ball at the end of the bubble regular season, and they really went at the Clippers. And you had Luka playing out of this world.
Kid's an animal. Kid's an absolute machine.
He is, and I don't think that it's a bad pick saying they're going to be in that 2-3 spot. I do still have the Clippers. I think another year down, they just have so much talent. They're so deep. And if they want to turn it on, I feel like they can constantly get the 50s, high 50s, low 60s win total.
So what do you think if they trade Paul George, which I'm hearing might happen?
I don't think it happens. I mean, he absolutely didn't show up at the playoffs, and there's no doubt about that. He was one of the worst players on that team in that playoffs. And I just think he brings so much to the table. Normally, if you obviously discount that playoffs, but he just brings so much to the table. I think you got to run it back, give it one more shot. They changed the coaching. I don't think you blow the whole thing. Did they really
change the coaching? Because Ty Lue was an assistant over there. So are we suggesting that Doc Rivers was the problem?
No, we're not suggesting that. You're suggesting that just it's one of those changes that maybe sparks something. That it's just Doc Rivers, that has been who he is coaching a fantastic team. He can get loads of talent, and then he just can't win the series when it matters. So I think it's just like bringing in a fresh face, giving a team some new life that's kind of been in that lull of making it to the second round of the playoffs constantly and then being done. And no one's happy with that, obviously, but you just want to try to kickstart it. You're not trying to blow the whole thing up yet. You're just trying to give it a little push.
I get that. Okay. So who do we have at number 3 in the West?
So I think I'm going to follow you up with the Mavericks. Like I said, I loved what they did at the end of last year. They're a solid team, well coached, and they have the main pieces in place to make a run. And I also think that that's a team that's aggressively trying to get better while they're still in this nice window of having Luka and Porzingis for the foreseeable future.
Cool. I like that. For 3, I'm going to also switch with you and go Clippers.
Also, Mark Cuban has already not shied away from the fact that they're going to be in the Giannis hunt.
What do you think about that?
Oh, I mean, when you can add a guy like Giannis, you have to do it. He's a absolute
just imagine nothing but Luka to KP to Giannis to lobs. It's a new lob city.
It's one of those things that fit doesn't really matter if you have that kind of talent.
It should work. I think that team
should work.
Outmaneuvers everybody. They turned a pretty agile team as long as you have nice shooters around Giannis. Because KP can shoot. Luka's going to have a 3. He's going to improve this year. I think.
And you have Luka a little, I think. And Luka can do everything. He can create his own shot. He can create for his teammates. And then Porzingis also can create his own shot very well. It's one of the joys of being a 7-footer that can shoot the lights out some nights. So I just think if you can add a guy that talented, you can't turn away from it.
I get that. I think he will be sick of Milwaukee. At this point, it just hasn't worked. You know, the second best player in the team is Chris Middleton. And then you can't be a championship team if your team winning is dependent upon Brook Lopez coming out and just shooting the lights out from downtown. You know, that can't be like your key piece to success.
And Giannis is going to have some off nights, and you can't expect him to go out and get you 35 and 20 every night.
No, it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. But,
all right, team number 4. Let's see.
All right, I like the Jazz.
I like the Jazz.
I really do like the Jazz. I think Donovan Mitchell is really coming into his own.
I think so.
Quickly climbing into becoming a top 10 player in this league. He's fantastic. and I don't think he's going to slow down any. Obviously, last year ended a little rough for the Jazz as far as before the bubble. Heard there was a lot of friction in the locker room, but I think that's a team that.
I mean, I think the COVID stuff caused that. And that was just a weird circumstance.
Yeah, as long as they can keep everything together in that locker room and keep Gobert and Mitchell on the same page, I think they can really do something next year. But that's a big what if.
All right, so right now compared to last year, the rankings for this past season were Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, Rockets. Do we think the Nuggets or the Rockets are going to be that high?
I've never been sold on the Nuggets. Obviously, they had a fantastic playoff series, and Jamal Murray played out of his mind. And the Joker's he's a great player, but
he's an animal. He's always a left-out MVP in my eyes.
But there's a lot of talent in the West, and we haven't even talked about Golden State yet.
Ooh.
You're talking about
I don't know if they're going to be as good as Ooh.
I mean, you're talking about the last place team in the Western Conference last year. You got to think they're going to improve getting Clay and Steph back, but do they actually get them back is the big question, because we've seen Steph miss a lot of basketball in the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, Steph might not come back the way he should. Clay shouldn't be affected as long as he can shoot. But if he's going to shoot, they need a good point guard.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll
see what they do with the number 2 pick. After Giannis to Golden State works pretty well, I think. Because then you have a guy that can really handle the ball, draw the double, and then Clay gets his open shots, doesn't have to dribble.
I don't want to get too into the what ifs with Giannis before you know if he's leaving.
I feel like you brought it up with the Clippers, brought it up with the Mavericks. You have to be able to bring it up with the Warriors. It's just as likely.
It is.
And maybe even a better situation, knowing that at one point he could be the true one guy. Going to the Mavericks, Giannis will never be the one again. He could potentially be the 3, because KP still had an injured year and it was their first year together.
Giannis is miles ahead of KP.
But will he stay that way? Has Giannis gotten significantly better? Has he gotten his 3? That's not the game over there.
He won back-to-back MVPs.
So?
he's a top 3 player in the world right now. I think he's.
So is Russell Westbrook one of the greatest players? He also won MVPs.
Not back-to-back. Not multiple.
I thought he won back-to-back.
No, he won. Him and Harden won him back-to-back.
Okay. Yeah, Rockets. I don't think they're gonna make my top 8.
I think they're gonna fall off big time. I think they still make the playoffs. They still have James Harden, who's probably the best scorer of the basketball in the game, and Russell Westbrook still has some left in the tank to be an effective player. I just think they're gonna start taking big drops off until they blow it up.
Yeah, trade something. All right, so my number 5 pick I think is going to make you mad. I'm going to go Kings. I think the Kings are an up-and-coming, quick team. All right, there we go. They've got De'Aaron Fox, who is a machine, an underappreciated animal. All right, I think Luke Walton is their coach. That's a step in the right direction, I think. They haven't drafted horribly. I mean, yeah, they got Marvin Bagley, but he's not a bad player. Harrison Barnes is on that team, and we forget that he's decent.
Harrison Barnes hasn't been decent in a couple of years.
Exactly. He's been on a very dysfunctional Kings team and Kings organization. But De'Aaron Fox is coming too. He'll be able to get the ball to Harrison Barnes, make a little play action. Have a big guy able to get the rebounds, and a lefty throws things off a little bit. I like that Kings team. And they get annoying. You know what I mean? They just have those wins that just set other teams back.
Yeah, because they've lost to the Kings.
But sometimes it happens. I think they're going to go over 500, but still be pretty – I think they'll be over 500. Not by too much, maybe by like 3 games, because I think the 5, 6, 7, 8 seed are going to maybe be within like 3, 4 games.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. So – for my 5 seed, I'm going with the Golden State Warriors.
Okay.
They are going to have Clay, Steph, and Draymond back, and that is still a team that
I don't
just a
think
few years
Draymond's
ago,
good.
no one thinks Draymond's good. But you're still talking about a team that just a few years ago was winning 73 basketball games. They have the talent to do it. They get forgotten about because they basically went from super team to winning 15 games.
And I'm not going to say they're a bad team, but I'm going to say I think the others are going to be better because the Warriors are going to be my 6th pick.
All right. So,
but I think other teams are going to be better.
So if you're gonna go with the Warriors as your 6th pick, I think I got to go with the Pelicans.
As your 6?
I like what that team has. I am so high on everybody on that team. Even though I shouldn't
don't like their coach. Do you know who their coach is right now?
Who did they just get?
Stan Van Gundy.
I love it. I love everything about this Pelicans team.
I don't know. I like Stan Van Gundy. It just seems a little odd. It's kind of growing on me.
It's
I
a
like
weird
it
hype.
more the more I think about it. But he did do a lot of work with Dwight Howard, and the issue there was Dwight Howard's, I think, a personality. And I don't think Zion is. So I think he'll be able to maybe bond with Stan Gundy a little bit better.
The Pelicans are a young team, and they need the grown up in the
Coach JJ Redick. He has a leader on that team that's well respected. That's a pretty good one too because he coached JJ's championship run.
It's a young team that just needs a grown up in the room.
JJ's that dad. JJ's dad.
They need a coach too. And last year they did not have it.
Who was it? Alvin Gentry?
It was.
I think it may have been. I think he's been around for a little bit.
I still love Lonzo.
I'm not sold on Lonzo. I don't think he's bad, but I'm not sold on Lonzo yet.
He's continuing to improve every year. And that's all you can ask for out of a young, raw talent is that he just shows progress. And last year, he 100% did.
But that team wasn't great.
But that team was improving. And they had their best player sitting out for almost half of it.
I think Brandon Ingram should be the guy. They should run the offense through him.
They do have a bit of an identity issue.
Yeah, they have no idea. I think they need a coach that can have stars play with stars.
And we're talking about B-list stars here. Let's not forget.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of guys that need the ball.
Yes, and Drew Holiday, I think, still thinks he's the guy. And I don't think anyone else does.
They need to trade Drew Holiday, I believe.
I think so too. And I think that is
Stan Van Gundy coached that. He coached the Pistons. That's right. He came from the Pistons. Who was on that team? I genuinely don't know. But he's been out of the league for a little while now.
Yeah, he's been commentating.
So I'm excited to see that play out. But
yeah, I think it should work.
I think that you probably sit maybe like 42, 40 wins, maybe somewhere in that range. My 7, I'm going to go – I think I'm going to go Grizzlies.
I agree. 100%.
I think I want Grizzlies.
I definitely agree. I think Ja Morant is going to be an absolute stud.
I think he's real.
He's the real deal. He 100% is. He was doing it all last year on a team that doesn't have that much, to be honest. And I just think
that's the team Iguodala wanted to get out of there.
And, I mean, they won 34 games last year. I think you can only expect them to improve upon that. And once you get into the 40-plus win territory.
They've also got, you forget, he has an animal, an absolute machine from Duke, Grayson Allen. They've got Jonas Valanciunas, who isn't bad. I like him as like a guy.
Grayson Allen.
No, all the respect in the world. And then they have a lot of guys I don't know. Brandon Clark seems like a familiar name. Justice Winslow seems like I've heard it. Kyle Anderson's a name I recognize, but I think there's been one in the league for like the past 30 years. just like a name I recognize from 2K. All right, so number 8.
So I don't think you can ever. I gotta include the Spurs.
I was just thinking Spurs, but I'm not sure.
I don't. The Trailblazers are too consistently mediocre for too long for me to think that they're going to improve. They are what they are. They've shown us what they are every year, and I just don't think you can expect them to be more than around the 8 or 9 seed. Maybe Dame gets hot the last 10 games of the season and pushes them through to the 8 seed, but I like the Spurs here.
Okay, I get that. I have to leave the Spurs off. I want to go Pelicans. Yeah, I want to go Pelicans on that one.
Who's that have missing it? We have the Trailblazers out. We have the Suns out.
The Timberwolves, of course, out.
I'm done with the Timberwolves.
I've given up on everything about the Timberwolves. I'm not even going to give them time because we don't have enough time to get with how much I dislike the Timberwolves.
And then I don't think the Thunder are close to competitive this year.
Neither one of us had the Rockets. I assume that means we both think the Rockets blow it up.
I just think when you're only winning 40-plus basketball games when you have your 2 guards averaging 60 a night is just not a good recipe.
And I see
Russell, he's on the decline. He's not getting any better. James Harden's at his peak. I just don't think that that's going to be a very good basketball team this year.
And last season they were 44-28. That was at the 4 seed. But if they lost one more game, they would have been the 7 seed.
Yes, and I think
they're going to absolutely be worse going into next season because they were 5-5 in the bubble.
I think you're going to see something very similar this year. I think you're going to look at those 5 through 8 seeds, and they're not going to be separated by more than 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, I think it'll be very, very close.
Yeah, and it's a competitive conference. There's
a lot of great
players in the West.
I think the Pelicans make it in comfortably. I don't think the other teams are close. I think the Spurs might be like 3 games back or so, but I don't think anyone else will be good.
Can we agree that the Timberwolves are probably going to be bottom feeders in the Western Conference this year?
I hate the Timberwolves.
They're terrible.
That makes me so upset.
All right,
I'm not even going to talk about it. Moving on. You're exactly right. We got to move on to the Eastern Conference.
All right. So I don't see how you can argue that Celtics team is the best team in the Eastern Conference.
I have to agree.
I'm going to stay high on the Celtics, even though they're going to disappoint me every year.
I think the Celtics are the best team.
I'm all in on the Celtics to get the number 1 seed in the East, and I have no doubt I will be disappointed. And I'm ready to get hurt again.
That's fair. I mean, you were all about the Heat run this year. I did witness you turn your back on the Boston Celtics, on Brad Stevens, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Enes Kanter. You turned your back on those fine gentlemen.
Because they were out of the playoffs.
Yeah, but who did you want to win that series?
Okay.
I know if it was up to you, that series could have gone on for 25 games. I would have watched all of them.
I was fine with whoever won it. It was a great series. It was competitive as can be. It was the best series of the entire playoffs. I wanted more of it. I just wanted to see them play every other night for another month, and I would have been totally fine with those playoffs. But I just didn't care who won. It was just great basketball. I loved all of it. But I think the Celtics are the best team in the East next year. I think Tatum and Brown will continue to improve. And obviously they're well coached, and I just think they're going to have a great team.
Do we think Brad Stevens has reached his peak? Because, I mean, we've talked about how great of a coach he is, but has he delivered yet? Does he not have enough talent? We know with Kyrie it was a problem. I think Kyrie was an issue in that locker room.
And Kemba hasn't really helped locker room wise, I would assume Kemba's a fine teammate. But as far as on-court chemistry, I forget
Kemba plays on that team sometimes. No disrespect to Kemba, but
he's a great player.
He's on that team.
But I just don't think they've 100% got it figured out yet. But I think this season they will, and I think they can do something this year. But I have them as the number 1 seed in the East.
Okay. No, I think that's a very safe bet. For the next one, number 2, I want to say 76ers.
If Giannis is Milwaukee Buck for the entire season, I don't see how you take the best regular season team and expect them to come in anywhere below second. So I got to go with the Milwaukee Bucks. They've been
That's fair.
Powerhouse in the regular season for the last couple years. They can get it done. I think the Celtics are a little bit better, and I think that'll show. But I think the Bucks are the second best team in the East.
So I don't think Giannis stays on that team. So they may or may not even be on my list. Just going to let you know that.
You think Doc Rivers is going to make that big of a difference in Philadelphia?
I just think the East is going to be less good than we think. And they're going to be able to get enough wins on just pure Philadelphia, whatever. I don't know. I think they can make it. As long as I don't wish for an injury, but I need a reason for one of the stars to sit out a lot. Preferably like the first half of the regular season, maybe. That team builds chemistry around one guy. I hope it's Ben Simmons. And then they can ship off Joel Embiid somewhere, maybe Washington, for some young picks.
All right. So for your number 3 pick, who are you thinking?
Oh, you knew to touch that. You knew, right? All right, number 3 pick. I hate them. They aren't good at basketball. This team is upsetting, and I don't think I was happy with the Lakers winning this year than I was with the Raptors winning. So number 3 pick is the Raptors, just because somehow they make things happen. Kyle Lowry is the worst NBA player. I'd rather have Kelly Olynyk on my team than have Kyle Lowry touch a basketball in my practice facility.
See, I think you are forgetting about the best basketball player in the Eastern Conference, and that is Kevin Durant.
I think it takes a little bit. You got the Nets.
Kyrie Irving. You got Steve Nash in the building.
Also, Morris Stoudemire is an assistant. I do like that.
And, I mean, I think this is either going to work, and which I believe it will. They're going to get the 3 seed. They're going to win a playoff series or 2, or it's comically bad, and everyone's making fun of this in a few months.
So I think what happens is they have a lot of guys that need the ball. They have Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie. Jared Allen's a good guy to just have in there. Kevin Durant needs the ball to be as effective. He's a scorer. Kyrie, he can pass, but he kind of demands the ball to just kind of rotate the offense. So what I think happens is they start off the season pretty rough, hit the trade deadline kind of hard for maybe Dinwiddie or LeVert, and they come back, but I think they end up right around in the middle.
So I think coaching is going to matter. Whether Steve Nash can get the job done or not is going to play a huge role in this.
He's got a crazy basketball mind, and I think they've bought into him, but I think it's going to be a little curve.
And I just don't see Kevin Durant being on a team, if he can stay healthy, that isn't a top 3 seed in either conference. I just don't see it happening.
I have the Nets at my number 4.
So number 4, I think I'm going to go with my huge wild card pick. I like the Atlanta Hawks to step it up this year.
What are you talking
Finally
about?
Get out of the basement of the Heat.
What?
I like the Atlanta Hawks. I think Trae Young's phenomenal. I think he is going to take a step and go ballistic this year. And I really don't like much of the Eastern Conference.
The Hawks.
The Atlanta Hawks.
Final answer?
Final answer. They're going to win 30 more. They're going to win 25 to 30 more games than last year.
The Hawks went 20-47.
Yes, they did.
You think they more than doubled the amount of wins?
Trae Young, all-star last year. I think he's going to be a second-team All-Pro this year. I think
DeAndre Hunter comes out of it enough. You know, they have DeAndre Hunter, Trae Young, Trevion Graham, John Collins. No.
Yeah, John Collins. I think you're really on. I don't think you realize that they do have good young talent. They just need all of them to take the extra step. And I think, why not this year? And you're in a very weak Eastern Conference. You have the 76ers, who I think are going to be absolutely terrible.
I mean, they do have Clint Capella.
I think that he can play.
They have Jeff Teague, Cam Reddish, Kevin Herter, who is a machine, I think. All right, we're going to move on from that. I think that's a ridiculous pick. I think that's absolutely absurd. Let's see. I think the Bulls are only going to get worse. I think the Pistons are blowing it up. Cavs blew it up, and they want to blow it to pieces. Don't think the Hornets are going to be good. The East is weak.
The East is very weak.
East is rough. I feel like the Pacers lose somebody. East is bad. This is a hard pick. My God. I feel like could the Wizards do it? I'm going to go Wizards. I'm going to go Wiz at 5. Yeah, that's a pick. All right, so
that's a worse pick than mine.
How could you name 2 all-star caliber players on the Hawks?
Trae Young and Clint Capella.
Name 3.
John Collins is going to be there. DeAndre Hunter,
Who had more points per game this year?
What's that?
Who had more points per game this year? Someone on the Wizards or someone on the Hawks?
Well, probably Bradley Beal outscored everyone on the Hawks.
Sure did. All right. What's your number 5 pick?
I got to go with the Toronto Raptors. They're just a regular season powerhouse. And then
you're saying the Raptors are a regular season powerhouse, and right after saying that the Hawks are going to be in the top half of the division.
They're my sleeper team. They're going to take a huge step this year, and they're going to play 82 great games of great basketball.
So how many wins do you think they're going to get? Give me a number. They won 20 games last year.
Why not 50?
You think they win 50? That would put them number 3 this year. You think that they're better than this year's Bucks, Raptors, and Celtics?
That's a 10-game shortened season.
56, 53, 48 were the top 3. Number 4 was 45 with the Pacers.
The season was shortened.
You think they win 50 games?
I think they can win 50 games.
What do you think?
I thought the Hawks.
How many do you think the Nets win?
I think they're also in the low 50s.
All right, so we're going to say like what, 52?
Yeah.
What do you have the Bucks doing at number 2?
High 50s.
57, 58?
Sure.
What do you have the Celtics doing?
I think the Celtics can easily win 60 games.
I think the Celtics have 60. That would have been 4 higher than this year's Bucks.
With a shortened season.
What you got at number 6? Take your pick from the East. We're looking great.
I think the Heat. I think
that's a good move.
Jimmy Butler's still fantastic. Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, I love so much. And I don't think you're going to see the magic of last year carry over. But I still think they have enough talent to make the playoffs, maybe surprise somebody again next year in a series or 2.
I see that. I think the Wizards are just naturally talent better. I think Bam Adebayo is a machine. But I do think they need to add something. I'm not sure what it is, but I don't think Iguodala is the fit there. I'm never going to say he does a lot of the intangibles, quote unquote, but I
don't think Iguodala's fit anywhere anymore.
I saw him have a real rough time on both sides of the ball in a couple of those playoff games where he just wasn't great. Jay Crowder, I think, forgot his 3 in a lot of these playoff games. So sometimes they just didn't play well, but they do play incredibly hard. I think the Heat's a safe pick at 6. I think after this pick, it's just kind of like who kind of gets lucky, and kind of makes the playoffs, squeezes their way in.
I think we can safely say it's not going to be the Cavs, the Pistons, the Knicks, the Bulls, the Hornets.
Well, there's not many more teams for us to pick.
I think for me, I think the Sixers are going to be right around that, one of those last spots to get in. I think the Pacers are going to be right around that. Wizards and Magic, I think, are all going to be shuffling for those last couple spots.
I think it all picks on. I hear that the Magic are trying to trade out Aaron Gordon, but I've also seen that Lauri Markkanen on the Bulls is unhappy. Knicks are trying to go big this year, but I just can't trust that the Knicks can do things. I just really don't believe that they have the capability to do good things.
What was their massive free agent splash last year?
Didn't get anyone. They signed Julius Randle to, I think, a ridiculous deal.
I have no faith in the Knicks until
the Knicks never ask, "What have you done for me recently? What can you do in the future?" They're like, "Oh, you did some good things back then." So I'm not sure who they can pick up, but I haven't had faith in them.
None.
No. Yeah, I think the bottom of the East is pretty rough. The Cavs are going to trade Andre Drummond. It really just depends on – I don't think the East is any desirable place, but I feel like a lot of big names could end up on bad teams.
I guess for my
who can acquire salary cap.
I guess for my 7 and 8 pick, I just got to go Pacers, Sixers.
I think it's Pacers. Maybe Hornets. Dude, it doesn't matter.
It's a rough. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Who's your way too early MVP choice?
Luka, for sure.
All right, I think I'm going to go Anthony Davis.
Ooh, okay.
I think LeBron is still a fantastic player. I think he is going to, as he ages, you can already see he's starting to get into a little more of the facilitator role, a little more of the running. He was always been running the offense, but that's been his primary focus versus going out and getting the bucket every time, where that's what kind of helps about having Anthony Davis is you can get away with that. But I think Anthony Davis is going to take over a little more line share of the offense from LeBron as he starts to hand the keys over at the end of his career. And I just think Anthony Davis is going to have a big year, and I think he gets his first MVP.
I will point out, you've had this exact same view most of the time that I've known you. And if you were right on this subject, he'd have maybe 5 MVP awards. And you always sound very convincing. I'm like, Anthony Davis is that guy. And he's definitely very good at basketball.
He's always been that guy.
He's going to be an MVP candidate.
It's hard to win MVP when you're winning 38 to 42 games with the Pelicans.
So I think the Luka Doncic is going to be the MVP. I think he's only going to get better. He's the youngest kid to do everything. Absolute machine. They're going to get somebody in free agency, I think. The refs have agreed to not hate them this year in the playoffs, and they're going to make sure some good things happen. They just wanted the Clippers to go on at NBA, but that's okay.
I mean, it's a good pick. Luka's insane. He can
Luka's
do it
so
all.
good at basketball.
He can average 30 a night. He can get you 8 assists a night. He can get you 8 rebounds a night. He's the whole deal. He's the whole package.
I think that team's really going to come out this year. So having a winning record, I think a top 2 seed for sure. And definitely I don't think they're far off from being the 1 seed. I think they could absolutely be the number 1 seed. All right, so that is our first session. We're going to conclude for now. Christian, thank you for being on the show. Appreciate your takes. Please leave us with one of Chris's hot takes. Any sport, any subject, roll with it.
All right. So I think that Tom Brady wins the MVP award this year, without a doubt, unanimously.
Unanimous MVP?
Unanimous MVP for Tom Brady at the age of 43.
All right, there we have it. Tampa Bay, let's go.